Hey everybody! The amazing finale to the Egyptian campaign is coming up right here. You know, when I was a kid I didn't like this mission very much, but now that I'm more experienced and can see how much strategic depth it has, it's one of my favorite chapters. This cinematic is one of the game's finest too, both visually and dramatically. Although, in this particular conversation, the dialogue and animation seem just a little bit out of sync somehow.
So, you failed me again, Kemsit.
There was nothing I could do, General. Kemos is dead.
And you're about to join him. Can you at least deliver me the army you promised? The passage to the underworld will soon be open, and you know what manner of creatures lurk within.
They are traveling along the coast now. They will be here soon.
I'm going to ride out and motivate them to travel fast.
I wonder what he writes.
What should I do?
Keep the men digging. If they reach the underworld, pray to Poseidon that you can hold off whatever comes out until I return.
I love how Gargarensis is only sometimes on top of things in this story.
The scouts have sighted Amonra and Chiron. They have the pieces of Osiris with them.
What of Arcantos?
No word, sir.
It is getting late. We must start and hope that Arcantos arrives in time. Send the signal.
It's really cruel how they tease us pretending we can use Setna this mission. This is neat though.
That's the signal.
That's what we were waiting for. We must bring the pieces of Osiris together near the pyramid. Only then can he be reborn.
This is going to be intense. For starters, I need to get an economy going in both bases at once. We're playing Ra, so that means I need a temple here to train priests to empower the gather sites. I'll need maximum population quickly. This is a very weak army here, but it's good enough with micro. Plot twist, I'm going to send the Osiris piece to the enemy. I'll need massive food income to keep training villagers at both spots. 3 spots actually, there's another town center I'm going to claim with these guys. And a dock, because again, maximum food. I'm going to hand over this Osiris piece too, actually. We have a much stronger army here. And I build a town center. Oops, build an armory. Oh well, no harm done, I can just build a town center next to it. Armories are free after all. Now there are serious enemies between these two bases, and the developers didn't think we could unite them this early. They underestimate my power. With some micro, and using my heroes as tanks, I can actually unite my bases immediately with no casualties. That's the key to beating the rest of the mission efficiently. Okay, I'll get a priest to empower for gold, another priest over here to empower the dock. That's plus 15% resources for empowering. 5 fishing ships, because that's how many fish schools there are. Chiron loves to step out of the front line, so I need to make sure he stays up there and gets shot at by the tower. If I move fast enough, I can take down all of these towers before the enemy even sends their first attack. Once I have the gold, I'd better get some priests to heal my troops up. Now what I'm supposed to do is try to hold out on multiple fronts for 20 minutes until Arcantos finally shows up. Forget that. Playing defense is for beginners. 3rd town center almost done. This is just about the biggest economic boom you'll ever see in this game. Alright, I'll get it cranking out villagers full blast. And it's time I built a lumber camp. You need to have the pharaoh take down that hyena and support the lumber camp. Back to the army, no time to waste, I'll join them up. The mission is only going to get more intense from here, actually. Some villagers can't actually reach this last giraffe, so I'll have them build me a new granary instead. Babysitting all your scattered groups of villagers to make sure they don't do anything stupid is a major part of this mission's difficulty. In this chapter, it always feels like there are 1,000 things to keep tabs on. It's time to start redirecting more and more people to harvest lumber. I'll have 2 town centers do that now that my food supplies are in better shape. Okay, everybody is just about healed up. There's another tower to tank out. I'll have Amonra tank it as usual. We have a ton of melee units in this army, but most of them are too weak to be much use. Just going to do an economic survey here, make sure everything is going as it should be, no one wasting time. Alright, and now is the moment to start working on a siege works and also a Migdol stronghold, so I can reinforce my army and then get moving. I think I'll do Migdol first to be stronger when the enemy wave arrives, and then take the offensive with siege weapons. Another of the 10,000 things to do is making sure your military and economic upgrades are going at the right pace. As I've said before, the fishing ones are very powerful and quite worthwhile. And they don't cost food, which would cut into my villager production. As with all dangerous animals, you have to actually order them to hunt each hippo individually. There's another tower to tank, and then that's the last one for a while. Once that's done, there's just one more set of obstacles before I can take the attack to their base. Well, I'm less than 3 minutes in and my economy is blazing, so I'll start shifting villagers steadily to building buildings instead. Definitely gotta have a siege works fast, because there are many walls to go through. And this villager needs to scout the fog of war so I can build a wall there. More priests, more healing. I'll get these buildings grouped up too. I'll need that to have them rally point efficiently later. I'll start training scorpion men too. They aren't actually much good, but my only other option are Anubites, which cost food I don't have and would be almost impossible to control on this mission. The Necropolis 10% favor upgrade will be worthwhile too. The reason I didn't pick it up earlier is that back then I needed the gold more. Okay, scouting was successful, now I can build a wall. That will permanently force the enemies to only attack the right side, where I'll have my whole army waiting for them. Remember that it's always more efficient to funnel the enemies into one location. I've got enough villagers, so I'll stop training them and start putting that food toward upgrades. I need to micro carefully here though. There's a tower up ahead that your troops love to run into range of. Yep, it's about time to cancel villager production for now. Don't want to cut into my population cap any further. Alright, the temple is down, so I'll pull back and heal up and get ready for the enemy wave. You know, it's weird how the Egyptians spend no wood on buildings, but the things are clearly almost all wood until the end when they're suddenly stone. Anyway, I'll fight back here so my troops don't get aggroed into tower range. They have multiple towers up there behind walls. In the meantime, I'll get some upgrades. The gold ones are the most important. As the announcer pointed out, Kemsa took the Osiris pieces and put them into one convenient central location for us. Wasn't that nice? It saves a lot of time and hassle to have him smuggle them into his base for you like that. Moving the clumsy things around is still the main thing slowing you down. Alright, I better grab fortified town centers right now. That upgrade makes your town centers better in a lot of ways, but the most important thing it does is make them grant +5 extra population each. I need to raise that population cap as high as I can. More gold is very important, and meanwhile I'm getting my range support out from that Migdal stronghold. Definitely need a lot of chariot archers on this mission. Luckily, they train with absurd speed, so just one Migdal stronghold is good enough. See what I mean? I look away for just a few seconds and suddenly I have military units standing around, villagers going to the wrong place, and all kinds of time-wasting nonsense going on. Gotta get that fixed up, I guess. Just what happens when all your villagers and bases are so spread out. For that kind of reason, it's good to try to end one hassle, like villager production, before another one like constant battle begins. Now that I have food to spare, I'll start building more monuments for favor. Scorpion men cost an absurd amount of that. Man, I just love everything about chariot archers and how fast they train. You'll note I've done a fair amount of waiting around and building up at this point. That's because for the first time in the campaign, the enemy waves actually mean business. And they're balanced, with no one counter. There's the vanguard. If you try to push on before this wave, you usually get caught halfway through their walls. The details of the battle are less important than keeping the economy going. The enemy waves are endless, so I need to make sure my own troops are too. I'll grab the last gold upgrade too. Yeah, I could have been a few seconds faster with these siege towers really, but not too bad. You can see I'm still having some rally point problems, but that should be straightened out soon. I don't know where their sphinxes were during that battle. They usually have quite a few. And those will come out if you attack the wall too early, so it's another reason to build up first. They have lots of units like those that are good at taking down your siege towers, so you'd better have quite a few. Keep building more monuments for more favor for more scorpion men, which are my best available melee unit. Very low bar. Yep, second half of the wave coming. The enemy has a lot of durable units like their own siege towers, which make this battle take a long time. Sphinxes are pretty tough too. Do not waste your time in the siege towers. They're incredibly tough, and they are basically impervious to arrow fire. Take down the dangerous troops first so you lose fewer of your own guys. It's not even actually a big deal if a siege tower sneaks by, because villagers can take them down easily. The enemy really came through very messily this time. Don't know why. That slowed me down a fair amount. This mission is very hard to predict. As I mentioned, my villagers can actually help out with this. Yeah, the disjointedness of the enemy attack there really got me out of position, so I took some casualties I shouldn't have and slowed down a lot. I don't really care about losing the siege works though, those things are basically free. It's more important to keep moving forward fast. I'm going to summon serpents in there now, ancestors too to help take down the wall. You see, I can't actually use ancestors in his base as I would like to, because he inexplicably has Isis monuments. I didn't summon them before now, because up until now he often sent troops through that area. Yep, just take down those siege towers easily enough, and then build me a new siege works once that's finished with. Definitely will need new siege towers later on. Back to the important front, this crowded space makes it hard to take down those towers, but I better get on that fast. I'm still in shape to win this way before most people even think it's possible. Over here I'll build the final monument, which you may recall me saying is actually the most favor efficient one, so I'll have the Pharaoh empower that for maximum favor bonus. And for the army that has everything, what you need are upgrades, as many as you can get. Yeah, the fighting is almost continual now. A lot of missions will be like that from here on out as the game finally gets serious. There's this great phrase from Voltaire, uninterrupted carnage. This game will be full of uninterrupted carnage from now on. There are going to be a lot of missions that are less about winning one battle elegantly, and more about winning many consecutive battles efficiently. Okay, time to go grab the Osiris pieces and get moving. I'll make them group 8. Get ready to hear that Amonra death sound a lot. She's really good at getting killed when she's not being babysat. I've got plenty of lumber, but I better make sure it stays that way. Chariot archers cost a ton to build after all, and I'll need a lot of those. And I also just want to retire the hassle of having villagers that need to be reassigned very often. Anyway, like I mentioned, Arcantos shows up at minute 20, and at that point it becomes easy to start your victory march. But that's a really long wait for a good player. And the developers were nice enough to make him spawn early if you're actually winning with the other teams. Just taking a minute to get reinforcements straightened out here. And battle is rejoined. Better get back to managing that. I'm spending seconds to try to save minutes, but it is time to get moving forward. There's not much excuse though. I've played like 3 minutes faster on one of my practice runs. Make sure to be proactive about unit production. Build more siege towers before you need more siege towers so you aren't stuck waiting for them. You'll soon see the Osiris pieces do their usual trick of walking the wrong way. They really slow you down a lot with that kind of nonsense. Time to strike the enemy base. There's one sweet spot to go for, really. Too far west and you have to fight their Migdal stronghold, which is awful. Too far east and they can actually flank you from behind with some of their reinforcements, which is also awful. You need to be ready for a pincer attack regardless, though. They'll send many reinforcements, and it's a difficult base for you to maneuver around them with all their walls and whatnot. There, one wall down. The goal is simply to clear a space for your Osiris piece cart to go through. You can kill the enemy barracks too, so much the better. But the important thing is to keep the Osiris pieces marching. They love to stop and turn around and do silly things. And they're huge and thus really easy to block, for both you and the enemy. Anyway, the instant they're both in the square zone near the Osiris pyramid, that's when Arcantos shows up in the far east with his army. It's easy to escort his piece there as long as Amonra's army is still mostly intact. Throughout the big, messy battle, probably the most important thing is to keep your chariot archers focus firing things which are not siege towers, and your heroes taking down the scorpion men fast. Alright, here we go. Piece number 2 is blocked, but 1 is there. Once they reach the zone, they're safely locked down and can't be moved anymore. And, mysteriously, Kemsit did nothing about setting his piece already there somehow. One of the game's few plot holes. Now, if anything, I actually spent too much time focusing on the battle here, therefore I blocked my own piece. It is way more important to be out of the way than to actually be fighting. Still, I think I handled the beginning of this mission elegantly enough that I don't want to restart it completely. At this point, pathing is going perfectly against me. An enemy unit always steps right in the way at just the right time to slow me down, make things more difficult, and the Osiris piece keeps trying to turn around and go the wrong way. But okay, this back route did it, and now I'm there. Okay, now pull everything back. Until Arcantos arrives, I don't care about anything happening in this base here. I just want to keep my troops safe until they're ready to help him move in. Another town center, more population, whatever. There's basically no resistance on Arcantos' path. But there are a few undefended buildings that will actually claim the Osiris piece somehow if you don't take them down first. While nothing important is going on, let me go back to something I said during that cinematic. One of the things I always loved about this game's story is how neither side is always winning. Sometimes Gargarensis has us on the ropes, sometimes he's running from us. There are even some serious fake-outs and plot twists along the way. That kind of thing strikes me as all too rare in video games. A lot of the time the villain is unstoppable until the very end, which is predictable and unsatisfying. Other times they're just ineffective or lazily do nothing until the end, which is really boring and not credible. Here, he and Arcantos feel like mutually wary equals, both with tricks up their sleeves, which makes them both more credible and makes beating him in the end vastly more satisfying. I'd like to see more games do that, and more stories in general, really. This mission is a good example of what I'm talking about. Both sides have actual, intelligent plans, both plans are going wrong, and both sides are adapting and managing the crisis. Furthermore, the game has already thrown several setback arcs at us, as well as several spectacular victories. And they didn't fall into the obvious trap of having each campaign end precisely on its 10th mission. All of this means that the player is both invested in the outcome and actually in some suspense. Sure, we know we'll win eventually, but we could easily have, say, Kemsit or Chiron die here. Just as importantly, you'll see that the actual outcome does not disappoint. Anyway, I'm almost in position. I'm going to take my own advice and pull most of my troops back. I'll focus only on getting the Osiris piece in position. To do so, I'll have a bunch of fast chariot archers escort it. That way they won't block it, but there will be enough of them that Gargarensis can't take the piece back. Should work fairly smoothly now that the way is open. Yep, just gotta maintain control of it, maintain control, don't bother fighting, just escort it in, and we should be good to go momentarily. There we go! Well, for me that was a lousy time, but the beginning went very nicely. And still 10 minutes faster than most people probably think is possible. Wait, why hasn't it ended yet? Oh wait, I see the problem. Alright, that's funny enough, I'm definitely keeping this run. What a silly little bug there. Alright, 15-minute win. I think my best time is about 12. The biggest time loss was out of my hands though. The enemy wave just came through very strangely.
All the pieces are here. Why does nothing happen?
It takes time.
Most awesome cinematic since Troy coming up right
We'll make
here.
it take less time.
I'm glad you've all gathered here. You're just in time. And I'm glad you brought the pieces of Osiris with you. Do you see now? Nothing happens. Your god is dead. What? No!
I'll confess that part made him look a bit silly, but the rest was great. There are few scenes this awesome in the entire campaign.
I have come upon the earth, and with my 2 feet taken possession.
Actual awesome quote from the ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead.
Nagarensis still breathes. Come on.
And again, they show Arcantus being proactive and effective too. And we're all just walking. Does detract from the mood a bit.
We're too late.
Cheer up, that just means more chapters of this amazing game.
There is another gate to the north. That's where they're headed.
Aye, my home.
Find us a ship, Amonra.
Great stuff. And that's the end of the Egyptian campaign right there. If you fine folks have any suggestions about how to improve this Let's Play, now seems like a good time to share them. Have a great day, everyone!